Hello and welcome to Papercrafting Playdate. My name is Robin Armbrecht at Really Robin Stamps, and I'm so excited for you to join me today to play with paper. Specifically today, we are going to play with our paper strip scraps. And this is part 2 of a series of, I'm not sure how many, I have a lot of ideas stored up for using scraps. And so I'm really glad that you're going to play with me for a little bit here. And I hope that you are going to be inspired to get out some of your scraps that you haven't used and use them up. So today is August 1st, 2025. This is episode 156 of Papercrafting Playdate. And I'm so excited you are here. I have some cards to share. And so we are going to do that first because that's what we do. If you are watching me live today, thank you so much for showing up to be part of the fun live experience. But if you are watching on the replay, I am also thrilled that you are watching. And either way, please leave a comment. Say hello to the friends you know in the chat and your stamping friends. Make a new friend. Tell us what you're working on, what you're crafting, or what you are doing. So we first have this adorable purple card. I love that the ladybug is purple. How cute is that? This is from Sherry. She is taking my favorite color and applying it to this card wholeheartedly. Love it. Love the little bit of glitter on there. How cute is that? Thank you, Cherry. This is from Sarah. She is watching right now. I love this, Sarah. This is my kind of stamping. It's just like a distressed looking collage, monochromatic color theme with just a simple greeting and those pops of rhinestones there. This is absolutely amazing, Sarah. I love it. This makes me want to just get out my stamps in one color and get to work. I love this kind of stamping. Thank you so much, Sarah. This is from Dawn. She's also watching. She got this amazing 4th of July card using triangles and some really fun paper. That is so festive and beautiful. And she's popped up some of those little stars. She's got a little sparkle of ribbon under there. This is just so beautiful. Thank you, Dawn. And I'm so glad you're joining us for your first live today. And this is from Linda. She did the panoramic Z fold. That was one of our play dates. And that's where you use a whole piece of 6x6 designer series paper that has a little scene. And when you open it, the scene continues. This was a very fun play date. She says it's play date 104. How helpful. Thank you, Linda. I'd have to look that up. I want to zoom in on her little cluster here of the little flowers. She made it look like a lily pad with leaves and those long, whatever those are called, that stick up like that. Put the little dragonfly on there. This is precious. Thank you, Linda. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you very much for that happy mail. Quick note, it's a new month, all right? So there's a new opportunity to earn a reward for me. If you spend a cumulative amount of $50 this month, I will send you a card kit. I don't have a sample of it to show you, but I think after everything I've showed you today with the suite of products I'm using, that might have to be the kit. I just haven't had time to put it together. I don't know how it switched from July to August so fast. The other bit of information that I have is that coming soon in September will be the next mini catalog. This is the cover, what it will look like. So September 3rd will be the launch date for this mini catalog. These will be mailed out in August, so you'll get it before September 3rd. If you've been a customer of mine, a regular customer, I've already paid for Stampin' Up! To ship you a catalog. If you want to be a customer and you would like one of these catalogs, there will be a link under this video eventually for you to sign up. Otherwise, join my email list and you'll get all that information so that you could reserve a copy of the catalog and I'll mail it to you. Also in September, there's going to be a new set of online exclusive products that get launched. And between these two things, I can tell you, I don't know, we're going to have 5 playdates a week because there are so many good things in these books. I don't even know how once a week is going to cut it. I'm super excited. I'm trying to make my wish list and figure out what I'm going to get. It's very exciting. The fall, into winter catalog is always chock full of goodness. All right, so one last thing before we jump into our paper strip scraps part 2. I'm going to share the paper that we are going to use for pretty much all of our projects. This is an online exclusive suite of products that released in July. So this is just fresh off the presses. This is called Painterly Pears Designer Series paper. And it's just this very rich color combination of Secret Sea, Timid Tiger, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Petal Pink, and a little bit of, well, it's kind of a lighter shade of the Secret Sea, but it almost looks like it could go with the cloud cover as well. Here are the A sides. And here are the B sides. So super easy to use paper. And we are going to create our focal points for our card projects today out of this piece. All of the images on this piece will cut out with the dies that go along with this stamp set, which I'll show you in a minute. So easy to use. Even if you don't want the dies, you can cut out a lot of this stuff by hand, do some fussy cutting, and you've got some really terrific little focal points here. All right, I'm going to stand up so we can, now I didn't promise 5 playdates a week. I'm just saying I probably need to hire some staff. I need to hire some crafters to help. So last week, just to review, we did a paper strips with 1/2-inch paper strips. We filled out an entire 6x12 piece of paper with strips, and then we created 5 cards with those. So if you missed that one, definitely go back and look at those ideas because those are timeless. I just have these sitting on my desk because I'm so in love with them. From last week. They still are making me so happy. Especially this one with the little Gallery Blooms paper. So pretty. And then I can't wait to mail this to my mom because she's a quilter and I think she's going to love that. So we're going to do something a little different today, but also using paper strip scraps. So if you're like me, you trim papers to cut down, to make mats for your cardstock, depending on what card you're doing, and you're left with a lot of scraps. I have some of mine in here, but then also within a package of Designer Series paper, once you start cutting it up and using it, you end up with a lot of different sized pieces. So what I did is I took all those little pieces, and I've already used this Painterly Pears 12x12 paper a lot. So I just took the little bits and I cut them into 1-inch strips. So we're going to use 1-inch strips today. And so the first thing that we're going to do, let me zoom in just a little bit, is we're going to create what I call the herringbone technique. So easy, so many variations. And so we've got our 1-inch strips, and I also have a 1-inch strip of just basic white. And then we're going to put this technique onto a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of just basic white. You could also do this on scratch paper, like if you just had some copy paper cut down to this size, because this is really just a base to make a card front. And so if you want your card to be a little thinner, just find a scratch piece of paper to use. So when you do the herringbone technique, you want to start with one piece, and these are about 6 to 8 inches long. Okay, so you really just need one piece that's about 6 inches long, because you want it to go across the card diagonally. One of these two ways, just kind of in a wonky diagonal. Okay, so that's the only one that you really need that to be. But we're actually going to do a piece of white for ours, and we're going to leave a space to stamp a greeting. So we're going to keep this so easy. So I'm going to put some adhesive on here, and I'm just going to do a wonky little right across there. Okay. Otherwise, if you want to put a focal point greeting on a herringbone, then you would start with your favorite piece, okay? Because you're going to get a nice big chunk of it. All right, so then what you want to do is you want to put a piece perpendicular to this diagonal piece on this side and on this side. And that they can be the same. So let me show you what that looks like. And you would kind of stagger them like that. I kind of like to go over the corners, cover up the corners with them. So you could do the same, okay? Or you could make them all different. So there's enough patterns in here that when you use all 6 pieces, you can almost use every piece and only have to repeat a couple times. So let's do this one the same, using the same pattern, just to do something different. So I'm going to start out with this beautiful dark piece here, and I'm just going to butt it right up against that white, and I'm going to go over the corner. And then instead of doing this, you want it to be kind of staggered. Okay, so I'm going to go over the corner, but I'm going to move it over here. Now I'm giving you basic directions for how to do this. There's no wrong way to do this. That's what makes playing with these paper scraps so delightful, is you can just kind of get the gist of how this works, and then do your own thing. Okay, so that's how we start. From here, you can do all kinds of different things. You can decide to do like every one perpendicular to each other, or you can do several in the same direction as the one you first did, or you can mix and match. Okay, so I kind of like it to mix and match is my favorite thing. So I'm going to go this way next. Like that. I didn't put really enough adhesive right there. I do like to use my liquid glue for this instead of an adhesive sheet, only because I like to be able to just wiggle those papers around. And then let's get a plain one. So we're going to do 2 in this direction, like that. Again, there's just no wrong way to do it. And let's do the other green over here. So basically you're just going to fill up the spaces all the way to the end. So I try to do the biggest spaces first and then fill in with the rest. So let's do, looking for another solid here. We'll do the pink one. And just do a little bit of pink over here. So when you get down to just these little corners, it's nice if you've got a little bit smaller one. But we're going to trim these off and then we'll be able to still use the rest of these strips here. Okay, so I've covered the whole thing. And so if you look at like pictures of herringbone wood floors, they kind of, to me, actually look more like the next card I'm going to show you, which I call like a chevron pattern. But like herringbone kind of goes in different directions. And you can get different patterns based on how you put your paper together. I got some other samples, but I still had scraps left over from last week. Okay, so I just kind of did a different little version. Now these were 1/2-inch scraps, okay? And so instead of doing just one, I did 3 in a row. And then here I did 5 in a row this way, you know, 3 or I guess 4 this way, 5 this way. And so you can see here, if you've got some repeating colors, you can get some angles in there too. So you can kind of direct your whatever paper you're using, whether it's solid or designer series paper, if you want to create some interesting like triangle outlines. Does that make sense? Okay, so now that we've done this, this is the fun part. We get to trim off the extra here and see our finished work. You can use a paper trimmer, but it's real easy with your scissors to do it as well, right up against the paper. Okay, so this is our finished right here. Nice and busy. Looks like a quilt. Like a quilt parent pattern. Let's see how we want to put this on. I wasn't sure. I got 3 choices here. These are the colors in the paper: the Secret Sea, the Mossy Meadow, and oop, I think I like the Secret Sea, Darling Duckling. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that one for this card. Okay, so let me show you the rest of the suite. So I showed you the paper. And there's also the Perfectly Pears stamps and dies. This is a beautiful distinctive type stamped image, so it has the etching within the rubber so that it picks up the ink with different amounts and just stamps so beautifully. And then there's some ribbon. It's Mossy Meadow and gold. And then there's some sparkle dots for embellishments in the blue, same color as my card-based choices. All right, so what we're going to do is pair. We're going to pair, sorry, I didn't intend to do that, this stamp set with the tags of thanks. And so I cut out, like I said, the paper. And so here is, here's the little pears. Here's this little background thing. And then there's two little labels in there. So this was the piece I used. And then I used the outlines that coordinated with this sheet of paper. Okay, so you can cut out the flowers, the big pear, the small pears, all with the dies. So we'll create a little focal point here, a little cluster. Okay, so we're going to use this as our base. This is Secret Sea and this fun little woven, torn woven thing. April, you're right. The trimmed card looks so different, right? It just changes everything once you trim it. That's like, it's like there's magic happening there. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of add the flower. And then we're going to tuck the pear, little pears in there. Like that. So we've got a base, we've got a little bit of greenery, the focal point, all their little elements that we like. And then I did the word friend with that small little label. Put across our little pears there. Okay, so again, just imagine for a second if we would have, let's see, what else could we put in here? We could have done, if we would have done, you know, another color in there, it would have just made a background, right? So I left that white in there this time just to be able to stamp. So here's our little cluster with our elements. And I'm going to take a little bit of this petal pink woven ribbon. This actually goes with the Floral Charm Suite, but it's kind of fun. It looks beautiful woven, but it's really fun to pull apart. And since we have a little bit of pear in here, we're going to just take that apart. And just add a little texture to our focal point. Just knotted it. And I'm going to stick a glue dot on the back. Okay, so we could use this ribbon too, but I kind of wanted to use that pink. But this would be kind of fun to put this also in the back. We might do that on other cards. Okay, so I'm just going to set this kind of in that spot, and then I'm going to put another greeting in there. So let's see if both of these will fit. Okay, let's get a different one. So what I like here, this also has the word friend in it. So you have all of these, you're the best, you made my whole day, so lucky to know you, couldn't do it without you, and then that little word friend, and then some thank yous. So it's really great for inside and outside greetings. And then let's pop that up. Okay, so this is what I call herringbone. Go search if you're a Pinterest person, you can see all kinds of different styles of this, and it just depends on how wide your strips are, and how you arrange them. Okay, so we've got "You've Made My Whole Day, Friend." They're just not making it easy with these colors. They're just all so beautiful. Let's do yellow, the Timid Tiger, on this one. I need to replace the top of my adhesive side here. Because I'm right at the end, I can't turn it up anymore. These last a really long time, but when they do, you just buy the replacement part for this, and then you get more putty in there. Okay. Let's get a close-up of that. Okay, so I'm going to show you like 3 ways to use these 1-inch strips. Okay, so the second way is very similar to this, but it's like what I said, it's like what I call a chevron pattern. So let's pick some of our papers here. And so you want to kind of start in the middle. When I say middle, like where this point of this corner is. So you're going to angle your paper kind of like how we started the last one, but you're going to make sure that this point is kind of in the middle, and you don't have to be exact. Okay, and then you're going to put another one on top like that. Let me just show you the process. And I'm going to use the same colors here just so you can see how it works. Okay, so then the next one you would do, you would go this way, but you go to the top of this. Okay, not even here. You go all the way up here to this one. And then this one goes all the way up here. Okay, again, I'm using the same color here, but I'm probably going to mix it up when we put it together. And then you do this way. Like that. Okay, so let's start gluing them down, but you can kind of see how it makes, this is more of a wood floor like herringbone, but it also looks like chevrons to me, that kind of chevron design. So let's go ahead and start. And I'm just going to make sure that point is kind of like right there, start in the middle. That way you can kind of go up and down. And I'm going to use different pieces. Okay, now this one goes to here. Okay, so you want to make sure you line that up, and that's where it's going to start going off the paper. Now the next one that you put on here, okay, would ultimately bump up with this, right? It would go like that, but since we're not going to see it off of the paper, we can just put one right here. And then let's start going down. quilty cards are very fun. I agree. Yes, I wish my mom lived closer to Sarah, because I would love to quilt with her. She needs somebody to get her motivated. Let's see. This is too much fun. We'll do pink up here. We'll do another green down here. Okay, so it has a similar but slightly different look. Can you tell the difference? Just find a little piece to put up here. And then I think I'll just trim that instead of trying to put, I have just this tiny little space right here. And I'm just gonna trim it when we're all done, make it slightly smaller. Okay, so let's do the magic here. I agree, Judy. The colors in this paper are really pretty, and it's like it has a fall vibe to it, I think. Okay, so you can kind of see our little chevron pattern there. It's just a little bit different. Let's put this one on green. This is Mossy Meadow. Oops, I was going to trim that. I'll tell you what, instead of getting glue on my paper cutter, we will just plug in a tiny little piece right here. There is not metallic in this paper. It looks so rich. It looks like it does have metallic, doesn't it? Where did those little scissors go? The ribbon does, though. The ribbon has metallic. Okay, just don't do it this way. This is, there we go. Okay, so I already have another little greeting there. This one we'll just leave right like that, say friend, or we could do a larger one. So I used the larger pear. Maybe we should do that. I love that. That looks really cool. Let's do the large one. Which embossing folder would I use? I would use something with a small pattern that repeats. Something that would just be kind of distressed looking maybe. That way you don't lose any of the, because all of the detail in the paper is small, and so you don't want to lose any of that by putting a really big design. Now, if you, something like this, where you can really, there's not all of that detail. You could use a really, like I guess a bolder, larger embossing folder. That's just my opinion. Let's try these blue ones. Let's stick a couple down here. Like that. Okay, so that's Chevron. That's Herringbone. And then the last one, I've already started, and this one's very obvious. Not as fun because the angles make it so much fun, but this one is called just like bricks, because you're just laying the paper like you would be laying bricks, and you make the, you know, where they come together at different spots. So I've got breaks here, I've got my piece of white, and so let's do, I just went ahead and started this one because this one is very easy. So because these are inch strips and this is 5 1/4, the top and the bottom are going to get cut off a little bit, and that's okay. Our last little focal point cluster there. So let's make this one a thank you. I'm stamping in the Secret Sea color. Mary, those are great ideas. The 3D eyelet embossing folder or the exposed brick, something like that would be fantastic. All right, I think we're gonna use our yellow so that we have our Timid Tiger card base. Wouldn't these be a fun little set of cards to share as a gift? Guess we have to use green if we're going to be fair to all the colors here. Okay, I'm super excited about those. All right, just based on our 1-inch strip cards, you have a favorite version so far. And look how many strips I have left. We've got lots more cards we can make in different designs. So let me just show you in different patterns, okay? So we've got our herringbone, chevron, brick. All right, so here is, this is the floral garden with the brick. And here's the chevron. I just did it to the side as a landscape card. And then our herringbone. Okay, so each pack of paper is going to be like, ooh, so pretty. And then this was a July online exclusive pack of paper as well. It's called Woven. Nope, it's called Need for Tweed. That's funny. It's got 3 different patterns, or I'm sorry, 3 different papers that are double-sided. Wait, 1, 2, 3, maybe there's 4. No, there's 3. And one side of them is all like red and green, like Christmassy. And then there's like a more neutral side that could be for fall. Here's some blue. So Need for Tweed. So I just picked all the Christmas colors. So here's the bricks and our herringbone and our chevron. Okay, so with these, it's a little bit harder to really see the pattern pop out just because of the patterns in the paper. And also because I think in this case, maybe smaller strips would make a difference. So let me show you. So I did 3/4 inch strips. So it's just a, you know, 1/4 of an inch difference with the celebratory sips paper. I added a little of the foil on with that foil paper. Okay, so you see how the pattern is just even a little bit more defined, I think, even though like all of these papers are so different because there's more pieces, right? And so it kind of depends on which kind of paper strips you have left over, how you want to, you know, what size strips. And you can mix and match the size of your strips. They don't all have to be the same size. Now, I didn't make any like that for this particular project because I just I was in a zone and I just ended up using the same size. But you can vary the size of your strips and use multiple kinds. All right, so let's put these aside because we're not done. I have another technique, but before we do that, I wanted to just show you this stamp set. This is new, Stripes and Dots. It was it's in the annual catalog, and I thought this is perfect because we could just use our what am I trying to say? We're gonna use these design patterns, but we're going to do it with stamps. So I've already started this, and I just have a piece of 4 inch by 5.5. Okay, and so I'm doing the herringbone technique, and I'll show you how we finish this. Okay, so what I did is I just I'm going to leave a white space here so that I can pop up a greeting, but I just used my adhesive, my masking paper, and just cut a big piece, and I covered up half of the card so that I could stamp this way. And now I'm going to flip it around. And so this is the piece I'm going to put on the inside, or after, you know, cover up here. Okay, so I want to put this right along where that's going to be. And then take that out. Oh, that didn't work very well. Let's do it this way. Let's move it down a little bit. I just want to get the angle right. Okay, so now I'm going to use these stamps. The cool thing about these is that they are all separate, but they also line up. So you could stamp a whole background with stripes and dots, or you could You can use them individually. It's a very well designed stamp set. Okay, so I did the stripes that way, so I'm gonna do them in a different way on this other side. So I'm going to take, let's start with this one. I'm gonna do this stripe over the corner in our Timid Tiger. And then we'll take our polka dots. These are so easy to line up. This is the Secret Sea color. And I'm just pretending they're the paper strips. This way. I need a little bit bigger piece here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to just put that across like that. Let's see, question, how do you line up the rubber stamps to do a full background if you can't see through them? Well, let me show you, finish this. These all are straight edged, and so they will line up on a full, if you have the largest block. I'm going to double mount this one because our colors are lighter. Just helping you think outside the box here, okay? So you could do the same thing, even if you don't have stamps like this that are in the lines, straight stamps. You could block off sections with your Post-it notes or your masking paper, make masks a different size, and do some blending in between and make your rows, do some stamping. I love how this looks. I love that we stamped it. I'm going to take that little background. I should have done it before. There's a little background in the pear set. It just makes the little dots, little background. Okay, we're going to close these up. I was pretty sure I had a focal point here ready to go with this card, but I'm not seeing it. So we're going to move on to our next card, and then maybe we'll find that little focal point. I had like a little pear to go there. This would be a great place to use our ribbon. Just make a little bow here. And then here's the other, so this is the first one I did in some bright colors. Okay, so what you would do to make this an entire background is you would use a larger block. And so then it wouldn't matter that you couldn't see through it because they're going to be lined up. You just have to get, they're flat, so you just butt them up against each other like this. And then you can stamp a whole like quarter sheet on there. I'll have to do that in the next video. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show you, so this is our side quest here, was to do this. I'm going to show you how to use paper strips with the Bargello technique. And so last week I showed you the adhesive sheets, which are 6 by 12. And we put it on a full 6 by 12 sheet of white just to create adhesive backed paper to make it easy to put the strips on. Okay, so you take off the one side and you attach it to your paper. Try to get it lined up as best you can. I always save one for last here. Okay, so that's what I did first. I just added those the adhesive sheets to the whole thing. And now when I pull this back, my whole 6 by 12 piece is sticky. Like this guy, which I already started. Okay, so we'll do the rest together. So last week when we did our cards, we did this, but we put our 6-inch or more strips this way, and we came up with ideas. For the Bargello technique, you want your strips to be this way, okay? And you'll see why in just a minute. So I'm going to finish this up by using up the space here. You need at least 6 inches tall. You don't have to do a full sheet like this. You can do this technique with a card front size, but it has to be like 6 inches tall. Oh, this paper. This paper is really fun. So again, these are 1/2 inch sizes. And because we're making cards, it's better with this technique if you've got a little bit skinnier of strips. So the Bargello technique, you can look that up too. It's something, it's a design technique where you kind of create movement and kind of abstract in a way. So I'm just going to trim this tiny bit, get our edge even. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut 1/2-inch strips this way. You'll see it in like embroidery or needlepoint, or in like woven fabric or tapestries, definitely in quilting. So this is the card making version of Bargello. And so you want to have all these little chunks of color. Oh, that's so cool. My father was a published quilter and he specialized in Bargello. Oh, that is so cool. I would love to see his work. What about wanting one design continuous background, like all polka dots? Yeah, that would make it a little bit more difficult. You would have to line it up. And I haven't tried that yet to see how difficult it is with that. I'll have to try that. Okay, so now what you do, so you've got this, you have to have this strip be longer than what you're putting it on, because you're going to rotate these up and down. Not rotate, you're gonna stagger them. Okay, so this one I'm just gonna put like that. I'm gonna make sure it's on the end here. Okay, so I'm keeping them like this because the pattern comes from seeing the same papers, or like in quilting you would see the same fabrics. And it's just, we're going to move it up and down, kind of like arrows, or a little bit like a chevron. Okay, so I'm going to move this one up a little bit. Move this one up. Whoops. Move this one back down. Okay, you see how it kind of goes? You can start to see the pattern going up and down. This one like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You need 8 of these to cover a 4 by 5 1/4 piece. Okay, so like movement, right? You can kind of see that staggered design. Like stair steps, exactly. That is a really good way to describe it. Okay, so you can make it go any direction And obviously, depending on what pattern, this is a very busy pattern, but okay, so we are going to make another little focal point here. I don't want to cover up too much of it, but I did want to use make another little cluster here. Oops, now I'm sticky. I'm sticky everywhere. I forgot I was going to stick this under here like that. Yep, in the middle would be a great place to put it. I agree. Yeah, because you don't want to cover up all of that beautiful background. I'll show you some samples where I did it slightly more simple than this, but as long as we had those pears to cut out, I had to use the pears. And then we'll stick that on our card. Okay, that is the Bargello technique. And of course, if you, so what I was trying to say earlier, and I didn't say it very well, if you just want to make one card, you really just need to cover and have strips that are about, 4 4 1/4 by 6 inches, so that you can get those long strips and can get 8 of them. But of course, if you do a whole thing, now you've got enough to make 2 more cards. So let me show you another version. So this is that beautiful paper, kintsugi paper. Is that what the paper's called? I don't remember if that's what the paper's called, but it's that sweet. Let's see if I can find it. It has a little gold in it. Yes, Kintsugi Inspirations paper. So there There's some gold foiling in there, which really adds a lot to this. So this is the exact same way that this is 1/2 inch strips, and then I cut them 1/2 inch. Okay, but you can also cut them in different widths and put different widths together. So I did some 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. And then that just kind of even just changes the design a little bit. Okay, and you just need a simple little focal point. And then with my last little piece that I had left over from this, I cut out some circles, kind of like what we did last week. I was still really inspired by those cards. And so I put 3 circle dies into my, this was just what was left over, my strips. And then I just rotated them each so that each circle, the strips would be going perpendicular to each other. Just for something different, right? Just something fun. Okay. And then the last thing I tried was to just use one piece of a piece that has a oh my goodness, scenery paper, and I just cut it in 1/2 inch strips, and then I staggered it again. So like, I understand, like, it would look pretty to just put this on here, but it just kind of is an interesting effect. And so if you have any scenery paper and you don't feel like gluing and sticking, just try this with something very simple. So it kind of gives it like an artistic feel or an artistic edge to your paper. So let's bring our cards back. I didn't come across that little focal point, but I'm going to put a little Pears right here, or some kind of little thing to finish that card off. But we can do it with our stamps to make kind of a herringbone technique, or we can do bricks. We can use our paper. I showed you a lot. I gave you a lot of ideas here for 1 inch strips, and then some more 1/2 inch strips. The stagger makes it look 3D. Ooh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that, what would be really cool is if you did every other one and you popped it up. That would look really cool. Oh, I love that idea. Thank you. All right, so tell me what you're going to try first, or what package of Designer Series paper is calling your name to use up with your strips, your leftovers. Of course, you can make your own strips if you don't have leftovers. Thank you, Sarah. Hi, Ginger. Thank you, Tony. Hi, Kathy. Thank you. Sarah likes the circle one. It's really unique. It is. This is another one where I after I glued it down, I thought I should have popped up every other circle to give it more dimension, because it's flat and it should have more dimension. And I love that idea for this one. I'm going to try that. Kim likes the scene. She was helping me come up with the word. Thank you. I need all the help I can get. I'm just reading through the comments. I hope that you will take one or more of these ideas and put them right to work. There will be a PDF available with the directions. And like I said about the mini catalog, if you're interested in getting the mini catalog, Join my email list. Yes, running it through an embossing folder. If you're talking about this one, for sure, that would add a lot to it as well. Thank you, Donna. Hi, Susan. Sharon just did the herringbone with the lovely garden DSP. Yay! Kay loves the Bargello. Judy's going to try the brick first. Oh, good. If you don't, it's hard to choose honestly, you can use any designer series paper, Debbie, but if you decide like, let's just try it, just find your cardstock color scraps and use that first, and that it will like take away the busyness of the designer series paper at first when you're just kind of focusing on creating the patterns. Eileen loves the circles and the scenery because, yeah, they're different. Agreed, April. She said these techniques will elevate those meh DSP packs we have. Yeah, there's some paper. Sometimes you cut paper down into, you see it in the large pattern. You're like, oh, what can I do with that? But when you cut it down into 1/2-inch strips, that pattern kind of dissipates, right? And it's more about the color. All right. Well, that's your homework, and I hope that you enjoyed Paper Strips Scraps Part 2, and we will look forward to trying some more things with Paper Strip Scraps, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Go make some cards for those people that you love and get them in the mail, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much.